May 15th, 2015, from the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee, the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies played Game 6 of their 2015 NBA playoff series, and the Warriors win this series in 6. So the Golden State Warriors are moving on to the Western Conference Championship for the first time since 1976, the 75-76 season. But in this game, the Warriors led by as many as 15 points in the first quarter, and they are actually 52-0 during this season when leading by 15 or more points at any time during the game. So already in the first quarter, they went up by 15. That means that they were shooting well. They were hitting their shots, and when they're hitting their shots, they win. The Grizzlies did get it down to a single-digit lead in the second, but it was still Warriors in control at halftime. Then in the third, the Grizzlies actually got to within 1 point twice in the third quarter, but Golden State just kept hitting the big shots, including a 62-footer from the MVP Steph Curry. Steph Curry at the last second, it was I think it was Tony Allen was coming down. He got stripped. They wanted the foul, but Curry ended up with the ball in his hands, and he just tossed it up. There was just 1 second left on the clock, and he sunk it all the way from the Grizzlies' three-point line. So he was on the other side of the court from behind. It would have been a nice three, like the distance behind their three-point line. It was almost from the free throw line, but that thing was crazy. Swished it in. No backboard or anything, just right, nothing but net. And so that actually put it back to a 10-point lead going into the final quarter. Actually, it put them up by 8. So they were up by 8. And that was actually, they asked the coach of the Grizzlies, he said, well, that was a 6-point swing. Instead of it being a 2-point game, it was an 8-point game because they wanted to get the foul, which would have been 3 foul shots. Of course, you can't guarantee that he would have made all 3. And then, him hitting that 3, well, that's 6 points right there. And so then in the fourth, the Golden State, they just kept hitting three-pointers. They hit 5 three-pointers in the fourth quarter. They had 14 overall in the game. And they ended up winning 108-95. So they win 108-95. And that's the series. They were actually down in the series, but they come back to win 3 straight, just like the Hawks over there in the East. And it was all the three-point shooting in this series. The games that they won, they actually, and even throughout the playoffs, anytime that they hit more than 10 three-pointers, they have won. They're 7-0 in games where they hit 10 or more three-pointers. And during the season, they were 54-5 whenever they hit more than 10 three-pointers. And actually in their 2 losses, Steph Curry only hit 4 three-pointers. He was 2 for 11 in Game 2 from three-point land and 2 for 10 in Game 3, the 2 that they lost. In this game, he was 8 for 13 as they actually hit 15 three-pointers. Like I said 14, it was 15 three-pointers in the game. And actually in the series, Steph Curry, the MVP, hit more three-pointers than the Grizzlies did as a team. As Steph Curry hit 26 three-pointers in this series, and the Grizzlies only hit 25 three-pointers. So Steph Curry outshooting the Grizzlies as a team from downtown. He was actually 26 for 64 in the series. That's 40% from downtown for Steph Curry in this series. In the 4 games that they won, he shot 51% from downtown. In the 2 losses, he shot below 20%, shooting just 19% from downtown, as he was 4 for 21 in those 2 losses. And so that means he was 22 for 43 in the 4 wins from downtown. And as I said, this is their first Western Conference Finals since the 75-76 season. Actually, the last time they won the NBA championship was the 74-75 season. That's the only time they won as the Golden State Warriors. they actually have won 3 times, twice as the Philadelphia Warriors. They actually won the first ever Basketball Association of America championship in 1947. That was before the NBA. At that time, there was the BAA and the NBL, and that was the BAA was out of New York, the NBL was out of the Midwest, and that was like the Pistons and the Minnesota Lakers. It was the Fort Wayne Pistons back then, but that was the NBL, and the BAA, that was the Philadelphia Warriors. They won the first ever, and actually in that first championship that they won, that was against the Chicago Stags. They won that one in 5 games. Then in 56, they won their first NBA championship as they actually merged the BAA and the NBL. Ended up merging 3 years after they had won that first one in 47. But anyway, in 56, they beat the Fort Wayne Pistons, who would later become the Detroit Pistons. That was a 7-game series. Then in 1975, the Golden State Warriors, who had moved from Philadelphia to San Francisco, and that was in 62-63. And then from San Francisco, they moved across the bay to Oakland and became the Golden State Warriors. That was in the 71-72 season. And then in 1975, as the Golden State Warriors, they swept the Washington Bullets for the NBA championship. And that's, obviously the Washington Wizards, who at that time were the Washington Bullets. But yeah, that's a little history there for the Golden State Warriors. So it's been a long time since they've been in the Western Conference Finals. It's been a long time since they've been in the NBA Finals. Almost basically the same amount of time. Just a 1-year difference is the last time they were in the Western Conference Finals. They won they were the defending champions last time they were in the Western Conference Finals. Not this time, but so basically, I mean, really, if you think about that, that's a good omen, I would say, for them, that they actually are kind of due to make it to the NBA Finals. Of course, they'll see who they face depending on who wins Game 7 between the Rockets and the Clippers. That's going to be going on Sunday. But they came out in this series impressively, a very physical, hard-fought series against a really tough Memphis team. Like I said, it was really all about the three-point shooting. That's what it came down to, is when they're hitting their shots from the field and when they're hitting their shots from downtown, the Warriors win. They won big in this one. So they won 108-95, and in the game, Steph Curry had 32 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists. That's a double-double. Draymond Green also had a double-double, 16 points, 12 boards, 2 assists. And Klay Thompson had 20 points. He was 3 for 5 from downtown. Iguodala 3 for 6, all 9 of his points coming from trays off the bench. He also had 6 rebounds and 7 assists. And Harrison Barnes, 13 points as well, scoring in double digits. And Sean Livingston had 10 points to boot. So the Warriors win it with their shooting. And, they were down 2-1, but they came back and they won the next 3. The first game, Game 1, which they won in Oakland, 101-86. Then in Game 2, Memphis won 97-90, so they split the first 2. Then Memphis won Game 3, 99-89. Then Golden State took Game 4, 101-84, so they split the first 2 in Oakland, split the next 2 in Memphis. Then Game 5 back in Oakland, they won by 20, 98-78. And then here in Memphis, they win 108-95 as they win big once again. That's the thing, when the Warriors are on, you just can't stop them. Like I said earlier, anytime when they lead by 15 plus, they're 52-0. And if they hit 10 plus 3-pointers, they are undefeated in these playoffs. And they've only lost 5 games all year when they hit 10 plus from downtown. So the Warriors moving on to the conference finals, the Western Conference Finals. And the final score, 108-95 in Game 6. Let me know what you think moving forward. It's hard to say what's going to happen in the Western Conference Finals. I'll reserve my pick until we actually know if they're going against the Rockets or the Clippers. Although, I'll tell you, either way, I really do think the Warriors are going to end up going to the NBA Finals. I think that they, Bogut will be able to neutralize, the big men from either Houston or LA. Both of them are really talented, in terms of their bigs with Dwight Howard, in Smith there in Houston, and of course Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan in LA. And that's just mentioning, their front court, not to mention their back courts. But I think the Warriors have a really good chance to move on, of course, the MVP, as long as they can shoot well from the field and as long as they can bury those 3-pointers, then they'll be in good shape. And we know Steph Curry is the best when it comes to hitting shots off of the dribble and off of screen. So he's really tough to guard. He's the best shooter in the game at this point right now in this year. That's why he's the MVP. So I think they have a very good chance to move on to the next round either way, no matter who their opponent is. But let me know what you thought about this series. I thought it was one heck of a series. You got to give it to the Grizzlies, too. A real gutsy, gritty performance, Conley was injured, but he gutted it out. He played. Tony Allen, same thing. He was injured. He gutted it out. He played, too. They're a tough team. They've been together for a while. Definitely a big win for the Warriors. I mean, these Grizzlies before they, knocked out the Spurs a few years ago. But the Warriors, when they got shooting, that was the thing, is they were down 2-1, but very resilient of their own to come back and win those 3. So I thought it was one heck of a series, and I think the Warriors got a good chance to move on. But let me know what you think about the series and what you think about the Warriors' chances moving on in the Western Conference Finals. How do you think they're going to fare? Definitely leave me a comment in the comment section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and have a great weekend. And enjoy all the sports.